Welcome to Value Time. I'm Jacob DeGate. I'm joined by three special guests today, and I'll start off closest to me. We have Shane Verdin. How you doing, Shane? We also have Tamika Verdin here and Elena Morena. Good to have y'all each talking a little bit about childhood cancer. Shane, or actually, Tamika, I'll start off with you. Can you tell us a little bit about this month and why it's important?
Yeah, so this month is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. As you know, my daughter is a childhood cancer survivor, and we're just trying to bring awareness. I want the community to know, you go gold in September. Just like I said, raise awareness. These kids need more funding. They only get 4%. We just want people to know,
Okay.
what it's about.
And when you say more funding, you're talking about just government overall and
Yes.
donation as
Yes.
well?
Well, the national funding for childhood cancer is only 4%, which childhood cancer is almost categorized as one cancer, but it's not. Childhood cancer is like they have 12 major types of cancer with over 100 subtypes. So when you say 4%, that's not really, much. So the treatments these kids get, a lot of them from the 80s. There's not new development in, treatments.
Sure. And looking over some statistics, I had saw that, globally, I think it's over 400,000 children each year diagnosed with childhood cancer. And it's something that comes out to about one every 80 seconds or so. It's really, that's a staggering amount of
Right.
children that have cancer. They're being diagnosed each year, and there's a lot of treatment that needs to go along with that. Uh, Lena, let me ask you, what awareness for childhood cancer and why it's important to you.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2015 when I was 15 years old. I was actually diagnosed at the beginning of September. So the first year I was diagnosed, I didn't really know what September meant, like what it meant to go gold. And throughout the years, it's just become more important to me to spread awareness and just bring people to the cause and just getting people to donate and support childhood cancer survivors and people that are just going through treatment and their families.
Okay, so how long ago was that specifically when you were diagnosed?
I was diagnosed 7 years ago.
Okay, 7 years ago. And then can you tell us, I guess, what that was like, the first time, or what were the symptoms that led you to being diagnosed?
So I had a lump in my neck. My doctors didn't think anything of it because I was young, I was healthy, I played sports. So it took them about a month to figure out that maybe we should get this checked out just because it wasn't going down. It was staying swollen. They were still thinking that it would be no big deal, just take it out and move on. But it ended up being Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Okay. And I guess, if you can take you back to that time, 7 years ago, what were your, immediate thoughts? I'm sure you were very concerned, about survivability. And how did you process all that?
So when I first heard the words cancer, all I really knew about cancer was that when you get it, you die. Like you don't really hear the survivor stories, especially when you're a kid. So I guess the first thought was, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna live my life now? But my uncle was actually the one that diagnosed me, Dr. Schwab, and he told me like this is a very treatable cancer. This is very doable, like 6 months of treatment and we'll be done. But that's not how my story went. But that's what the outlook was at the beginning.
Okay. Well, can you tell us, give us that journey, if you will, if you're
Yeah.
willing to share that.
So I went through about 6 months of treatment, cancer free, the whole 9 yards. And then a few months later, I relapsed. And so I went through more treatment. I ended up going to Ochsner to be treated. I started out at Mary Bird with Dr. Gamble. And so I went to Ochsner to be treated by a pediatric oncologist and just went through a few more months of treatment and then actually went through a stem cell transplant and relapsed again after that. And went through more chemo and more radiation. And then now I'm cancer free.
Okay. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
We're relieved to hear that. Can you, how long ago was that when you were, given the free and clear?
So I finished radiation at the beginning of 2019. That's when I finished treatment.
Okay, wonderful. Now, during that time, imagine you were in high school at the time when you were diagnosed. How was that, being a child? You're already going through, growing up, trying to get in those difficult teenage years. How was it also having, cancer on top of that? I'm sure that was very difficult.
Yeah, it definitely took a toll on just playing sports and school in general. I missed a lot of my junior year with my stem cell transplant. I was in the hospital for about a month, and then after that, for 100 days, you're not supposed to be around many people. So I was kind of home all the time, just alone. So I tried to keep it normal, but I couldn't play soccer. I couldn't go to school like I normally would. So it definitely took a toll on my mental health and just my everyday life.
Well, we're certainly glad to hear that, you've made that recovery at that point. But, mental toll, is there anything to help you when you're going through that process other than just going to your doctors to deal with some of the trauma mentally associated with?
For me, a lot of it was just relying on my faith and knowing that there was a bigger plan and there was a purpose for all of it. And that brings me to like people like Miss Tamika and Shane and just making relationships that'll last a lifetime and just getting to know people and know their stories.
Well, speaking of getting to know people, I want to get to know Shane. Can you tell us how old are you?
11.
11 years old, okay. And you're a survivor. Can you tell us, what's the type of cancer that you're surviving?
Ewing
survivor.
sarcoma.
Okay, Ewing sarcoma. Okay. And how long ago, what age were you when you were diagnosed?
7.
7, and you're now 11, and you're being classified as a survivor. How does that make you feel to have survived cancer at this point? You don't know? Well, I'll talk to Ms. Tamika, your mother. Can you tell us, I know that must have been a very hard moment. It's the moment that any, parent out there dreads. You always wonder your kids, are they going to be healthy? Can you tell us, what that process was like, discovering that your child had cancer?
Yeah, so Shane was 7. She was playing one day and we noticed a lump on the back of her leg. Immediately took her to the emergency room, hoping it was nothing, which led to, seeing a pediatric surgeon who originally thought it was a vascular malformation, which is what we hoped it was.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing, it's going to clear itself up. We had to do, MRIs, biopsies, and we got the news that it was malignant. So it took a while to get her diagnosis. She had to have multiple biopsies. They thought she had something called rhabdomyosarcoma. Mm-hmm. So then we found out it was Ewing's, and 2 days later she started treatment. We was at Ochsner's for children in New Orleans.
Okay,
Yeah.
when you say treatment, that's chemotherapy
Yes, sir.
type of treatment?
Yes, sir. So she initially did, I think it was 12 cycles of chemo, and then we had surgery. So it was on her right calf. They removed all of her soleus muscle and some of her Achilles tendon. And they were able to get all the margins, all the cancer. So then once she healed from surgery, we had to do 22 weeks of what they call maintenance chemo, which was really hard on her. The maintenance was really tough.
Okay, and what grade was she in when this?
She was supposed to be in first grade. However, she couldn't go to school that year. We did do homeschool, which was tough. First grade is an important grade. You learn a lot of basics.
Sure.
And we spent a lot of our downtime in the hospital due to neutropenic fevers or just her being sick. So yeah, it was tough. She missed, the whole school year.
Okay, and how long ago was that, when she finished treatment?
She started May 2019 and finished, 2018, finished May 2019. So it's exactly a year she fought.
Okay, and what's the process now? Does she have to go back up for
Yes.
follow-up?
So we were going every 3 months, and then now that moved to every 6 months. So we go twice a year to get scans. Once a year, she has to get echocardiograms and EKGs and all of that. You don't realize there's so many side effects from these chemos that a lot of these kids have long-term, side effects. So she's actually just started what we call a survivorship program.
Okay.
Once she hit that 3-year mark, being NED, no evidence of disease, we started that. So she does like therapy with that. She talks to a therapist, just kind of talk about the trauma she went through, just different things like that. And yeah.
Well, it certainly is a lot to place on any one person, especially a child, and then the parent as well. I commend y'all of what y'all had to go through, but y'all seem to have come out very
Yes.
strong. And we're glad to have y'all here telling it, letting everybody know your story and what you went through. I'm sure going through that process, you also have your regular life that you have to go on.
Right.
Were you working at the time? Is that something that you had to deal with?
That's what's kind of hard when you deal with childhood cancer. One of the parents has to, quit their job. I had to quit my job. I mean, somebody had to be with her 100% of the time. She was 7. And then also I had 2 teenage daughters at home. So, it takes a toll on the entire family.
Okay. Well, now, if there's any parents out there that have recently got that, devastating news, is there any, words of encouragement that you would have for them on how to get through it?
Faith.
You got to have faith.
Gotta have faith.
It's a good,
Oh,
good
yeah.
song, but it
And a
comes from
good support system, most of the time, like you'll meet people at the hospital. Cause I mean, I didn't know anyone who had ever experienced that. I never forget walking through the halls of Ochsner and seeing Elena's big old picture. So as we were starting up treatment, she was finishing
Oh,
up.
okay.
So, you meet people there, just
And I imagine you form, a tight-knit bond with those people.
Correct.
And those are bonds that I would imagine you make for life. That,
Yes, sir.
It's just not something that you have in passing, but you follow the,
Right.
Everybody else's treatment as well.
yes, sir.
Now, as far as, you mentioned side effects. So this is an ongoing battle, even though you got to keep getting tested, but there's also the side effects. It's a lengthy process, but
Yes.
it's one that you seem to have a good support system with. Again, you have survivorship program. That's another. We're going to tell a little bit about the importance of this month. We're mentioning during the break about that different I guess types of cancers have different months or different ways to bring awareness to their condition. One for childhood cancer. Can you tell us what that specific one is?
September.
September. And as far as, and I know you have pink for
Breast.
for breast cancer, but I didn't know this until today, but it's gold for childhood cancer.
Yes, sir.
And is that one of your your long-term goals for how to bring awareness to this condition or this epidemic? I don't think that's the proper word, but this the disease that affects children and how important it is to get that awareness out there. Can you tell
Right.
us what your plan is?
Yeah, so I mean, long-term goal, I would love to get the local schools, just like they wear the pink socks and the pink pom-poms for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, let's go gold, let's,
Sure, and that's just the more people that see it, the more people that talk it, and hopefully you'll be able to raise get that funding up to a level
Right.
where it needs to be.
yes, sir.
Another thing that we were talking about, is there any way that for people that's interested in being involved with helping making aware childhood cancer in the community or helping with people that are struggling, what can those people do? Is there can they contact you directly, or is there any way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I mean, you could always look up my Facebook page. It's not private. My Facebook page did highlight a lot of the local children that that have fought or are currently fighting, and I kind of tell a little bit of some of their stories and what they went through or are going through. St. Baldrick's too. I know us both have dealt with Ochsner's for Children. They're really big advocates of St. Baldrick's. That's a great foundation to donate to, as well as St. Jude.
Okay, and then those are two different places where you can donate. And I know you mentioned locally, I believe that there is a benefit for one of the children in the community that's coming up at the end of October, and they can find that information.
Yes, I'll post it on my Facebook page. Cecilio, he's currently fighting right now. He has leukemia, and they're gonna have a benefit October 29th in Thibodeau.
Okay,
I'll post that in my Facebook page.
okay, so that's again Tamika Verdant is where you can go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Elena, let me switch to you a little bit. Can you tell us, about your future plans and how do you, I guess, how do you grow from this experience?
I guess the biggest thing for me and that I would like other people to know is that cancer doesn't stop when treatment does. A lot of the battle that is cancer comes after, especially with like PTSD or different side effects that just stay with you. Like I'm on thyroid medication because radiation and chemo, and just preventative things that I have to go through for future cancers that could appear later in life. Shane still goes through echoes every year. I also do the same thing, checking on my heart just from all
And
the
that's
trauma.
for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
For Shane, it is.
And I'm sure, each time you have to go back in for something, I guess it's scary for the unknown because
Yeah.
you never know what they're gonna, find.
Yeah, those scans don't get any easier.
I'm,
The anxiety's the same as they were the first time.
I'm sure it's a difficult thing, and I commend y'all from being able to live with it and still be productive members of society, because that's a hard thing that nobody should have to go through. So as far as school, Shane, are you looking forward to our school is going okay? Everything's going good with you in school?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not letting cancer hold you back at all, right? Well, that's good. Well, we're glad to have you here. And Tamika, we thank you for all that you're doing on where, making sure that people know that this is a problem that is here, right here locally. I mean, it affects a lot of people, and that we need to spread the word for.
Yes.
And this is something that I see that you're gonna do for the future. It's not something that you're just gonna walk away from
Oh, no.
anytime soon.
No, we're only hoping to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Okay, well, we certainly, is there any, possible future events that you're thinking about planning?
We're hoping next year. Like I said, this year's basically spreading awareness. We kind of couldn't do anything last year due to the hurricane, so we hoping next year to maybe have an event. Something to raise money, something where we could involve the kids in.
It's good, and we mentioned earlier about, the bond that forms between the survivors out there of cancer survivor. I'm sure y'all still, are in contact with all, and you have a good
Yes, sir.
good group of people to help y'all put
Yes,
things
sir.
like that
Oh,
on in the
yes.
future.
Yep.
Okay. And Elena, are you in school right now?
So I finished up at Nichols in May.
Okay.
So
And
I am job searching.
you're still searching for a job? So if anybody, what field were you in for?
I graduated in mass communication.
Mass communications? Well, that's great.
Yes.
So anybody out there looking to hire, we have a great candidate, I can tell, from her time on the show. We thank y'all for joining us. We're about out of time, but is there any one last message you have, Tamika, to anybody out there?
Go Gold in September.
Go Gold in September. You heard it right here on HTV. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Stay tuned for more right here on Bayou Time.